My name is Ace, and today we're reviewing To All the Boys I've Loved Before, a film directed by Susan Johnson starring Lana Condor and Noah Centineo. It's adapted from the novel of the same name by Jenny Han, and quite frankly, I loved it. As a fan of the romance genre, there is a specific thing I look for whenever I watch a new movie, and it is, how does it differentiate itself from other films in that genre? How does this movie stand out? What does it do to make itself more appealing? How does it twist a love story and make it more interesting for the audience? While this movie doesn't exactly change things up that much, the way it's written, the way it's directed, and the way it's executed is really what makes it shine. This movie has the potential to be the next Breakfast Club, to be the next 16 Candles, a movie that they referenced in this film, by the way. And because of this potential, I can definitely see this movie impacting this next generation of moviegoers, you know. In the 80s, we had Pretty in Pink and Breakfast Club. In the early 2000s, we had Mean Girls. And now, we have this movie. Lana Condor stars as Laura Jean Covey. She's a very shy girl, a very awkward girl. I can relate. And sometimes, she can be also very introverted. I can also relate. She doesn't really like to go out that much with her friends. She much prefers to stay home. She doesn't really put herself on the spot that much. She just likes to be low-key about things, you know, just mind her own business. And because of this personality, whenever she has a crush on someone, she doesn't directly tell them. Instead, she chooses to write a letter that talks about her feelings towards this particular person. And instead of sending it, she just keeps it in a little box, you know, in a little private box. And you know, that adds a lot to her character. It makes the audience understand that she is a person who is very complex, who has very deep emotions, but she's not really willing to put those emotions on display. And that's where this movie really starts to get interesting, because her little sister, who is a fantastic character, by the way, I loved this character. Her little sister was like so cool. She was like a lot more hip than she was. She was more in the know, and her little sister basically just acted as the catalyst for this entire movie. If this little sister wasn't in this film, there wouldn't be a story, because the little sister decides to just send the letters out to every single boy that she has ever written it to. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a movie. Lana Condor's performance in this film was fantastic. I thought she was extremely charming, extremely believable. She felt like an actual high schooler. And let's also touch on the fact a little bit that she is an Asian actress who is the lead in a romance film. That's kind of a big deal, because when was the last time you saw a lead actress who was Asian in a romance film? That is awesome. I'm glad to see more representation in movies nowadays. But let's just ignore all that for now and just focus on the performance itself. Her chemistry with Noah Centineo, who plays Peter Kavinsky. Ladies, we'll get to him in a bit. Their chemistry together was fantastic. It was extremely witty and charming, and I found myself smiling every time they had back and forth between one another, because they were very cute together as a couple. I do agree on that. It was honestly really heartwarming to see how this relationship between the two developed and how it grew, and how they were able to grow as people just by being near one another, just by talking to one another. I thought that was one of the best parts of the film, was the chemistry between these two characters. So, Peter Kavinsky. I've been hearing about this character everywhere on social media. People were like really obsessed with him. And I can see why. Everything he says is like super smooth, you know. He always knows the right things to say, the right things to do. And he's a gentleman. I can see the appeal right away. He's very polite, and he's a very charismatic person. I can totally see why a lot of people are excited about this character all over social media. I'm also going to add on to the fact that this film captures, like, it really captures the essence, you know, the niche of high school. Like, it captures the characteristics of it so well. It felt like a believable high school, although there were some people that felt a bit exaggerated, even though I know that there might be people like this in real life. I don't know. I've never had that experience personally. But I felt that it captured the way high school has its ups and downs in terms of your social standing, where it's like borderline political, really. Like, you need to know the right people and talk to the right people, and it really increases the way others look at you. This film captured that very well. However, despite all of these positives, it is not a perfect film. There aren't that many negatives I have with this film. They aren't really that big of a deal, but they were still there, and I'm going to address them. First of all, there are some characters in this film that I thought were going to be important. They seemed like they were supposed to be very crucial characters in the arc that Lara Jean was supposed to have, you know. But they weren't really utilized that much. I thought they were going to have a bigger role in the grand scheme of things, but they rarely really showed up that much. And when they did, it felt kind of forced, like they were just putting that character in. I don't know, that's just me. There were some characters that I really felt like they should have just expanded more upon. They even brush over some very important things, like some very big things happen to Lara Jean's character, and I thought it was gonna like be this really big issue because of the way it was set up and the way it's executed, but they kind of just brush over it. They just brush over it really quick, like it wasn't really that big of a deal. Like, yeah, they make a big deal out of it for like a couple minutes, but then like it's just not talked about that much ever again. This film doesn't exactly wrap up perfectly. It wraps up nicely, but not perfectly. There were some things I wish they addressed, but like, you know what? It's not that big of a deal to me. It's okay. It doesn't ruin the film. It just, you just notice it, you know? You just see it. It's not perfect. If I had to give this movie a grade, it would be an A-. I was gonna give it a B+, but after talking about it with you guys, yeah, it's definitely an A-. It's better than a B+. It's a film that I feel like if you give it time to breathe a bit, it's definitely going to be a pop culture film that's going to last for a long time. It had a very interesting premise. Although it wasn't super unique, it was handled very well, and you leave the film happy. So that's going to have to do it for this review. I hope you liked the video. If you want to see more, subscribe to my channel. Comment down below if you have any movies you want me to check out. If you liked the video, like the video. If you didn't like the video, like it anyway. And as always, remember, never forget to stay nerdy.